Hi, this is Karl from Nile, and you're listening to Metal Universe.
Yes, hello, Karl. Great to have you on the channel and for Metal Universe. And how it's going right now, doing all this for this new upcoming album from Nile, the first in 5 years. First time since the beginning of the band that it took so long for a new album, but at the same time, I have listened to that for like 6, 7 times, and
Wow.
it shows.
Well, thank you. I really appreciate you taking the time to listen to the record. There are people who will actually show up to these interviews.
And did
Hadn't
it?
listened, hadn't listened to the record and try to act like they know what they're talking about. But, dude, you know, we can tell. We can tell whether the guy has listened to the record or not. Just we can tell. So thank you for taking the time to listen to the record.
It was an amazing journey to listen to the record. To be honest, I think the first few tracks before the interlude on more acoustic things,
Hmm.
that was amazing. By the way, more Egyptian things, and I love that sound of Nile. It's your DNA. And the first few tracks are just a burst of energy, a lot of blast beat, and you're like, okay, these guys are not slowing down, not a bit. And it took 5 years, but they are like angry.
Yeah, we were angry. We were angry at all the interruptions that we had making the record. A lot of obstacles to overcome. So we were ready to fucking play. We wanted to make this record.
Yeah, and I'm really satisfied. And I will say the second leg of the album is a little bit more progressive,
Mhm.
especially the longest track and the instrumental track that closes this thing up. More simple, maybe on guitar, but George Colias is on bass mode on this track, and his creativity. Does he have
Mhm.
a limit on his creativity? Talk to me a little bit about the work that George did on this record. I think it's a drum album.
It's a drumming tour de force.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Um, yeah, if anybody's wondering whether or not George Colias can play drums, uh, all you got to do is put up this record. It is a definitive statement of ferocious Colias drumming.
Totally. And I thought he had done everything already on all those previous Nile album, and I was like, my God, he's still surprising me. And
Right.
especially in the last few track, and not surprising me, like yes, with intensity, obviously, the creativity he has for to do different kind of blast beat, different time signature, but at the same time, on the slowest part of the album, I think it's that those moments that he will shine even more.
Well, because you got time to hear it, right? The stuff he's doing when we're going fast is amazing, but it's one of the things we discovered over the years playing this kind of music is
To
when you
come
pull
back
back
to
the tempo a little bit,
yeah,
right? Then it lets listeners hear what you're actually doing because there's more time and space and it's easier to tell. But rest assured, the shit that he's doing when he's going fast is no less mind-boggling. It's
I'm pretty
just
sure of that.
easier to hear it when he slows it down a little.
Yeah, and I think this album, like the first half is, like you said, ferocious, but the second half breathes a little bit more, and I liked that since it's quite a long album for a death metal album,
Hmm.
and the second half just breathe enough for you to get into all those songs and still want to push play after it.
That's the thing, right? I think when you listen to music, you should want to hear it again,
Yeah,
right? You should want to hear it again. If it feels like you play the album and you never want to hear it again, I don't think that's good. People should want to hear it again. Like we did a single, one of the singles from this "To Strike with Secret Fang," which is a very short song, right?
Two
And
minutes.
that's one of 2 minutes, right? But when that
Not
two
even.
minutes ends, right? It's just under, right? When it ends, you're like, I want to hear that again.
Sure.
I want to hear that again. When people, there were some people who complained, well, it's too short. We wanted to hear more. So I said, well, just play it again.
Absolutely. And you have a good diversity in the time of every single song. Yes, that's Strike is the shortest song, but you have more than a 8 minute song. That is the
Mm-hmm.
title track. That it's an adventure. I think it's
Mm-hmm.
really that track is the one that maybe is more progressive in itself, and you are going into a lot of different moods, a lot of different
Mm-hmm.
tempos,
Mm-hmm.
and at first, it wasn't one of my favorite, but since I have listened to it a lot more,
It
like
grows
I
on
think
you, doesn't it?
yeah, it grows a lot, and it's now in my top three of the tracks. Yeah.
There you go.
And maybe talk to me about that songwriting process because it was a long one, obviously, and you had to stop, you have to begin again. There's someone new in the band since then. Maybe talk to me a little bit. How did it go?
Uh, well, yeah, we lost uh during the pandemic. Brad and Brian both had new kids. Um, so it meant that they weren't going to tour anymore. Um, but Brian stuck on with us because he writes songs with Nile. He wrote 3 songs for this album. He wrote "To Strike with Secret Fang," "True Gods of the Desert," and the "Lament for the Destruction of Time." So he's like a very big part of this record, even though he doesn't tour. But we had to find a guy to go tour, and we had to find a bass player to tour, and that man, that chewed up so much time. Training people to play Nile songs is no
Yeah,
easy thing.
it's not Green Day.
So yeah, that kind of really got in the way of progress for the record. So the record was really written, me and George and Brian. Um, and the recording process was mostly the three of us. Towards the end, though, we got Dan Vaden Vaughn
On
came on
bass.
playing bass. And he started with us with that recording. That was his first part to do with the band, was play bass on the record. And he fucking did a great job, knocked it out of the park. Um, and somewhere when we started uh, doing the vocals for the record, that's when we picked up Zach because he's a guitar player, right? And we knew he was going to be the touring guitar player because Brian don't tour. So we went, wait a minute, if Zach is going to be the guy out on tour singing and playing guitar on all these songs, let's put him on the fucking record.
Why
So
not?
he played some guitar solos and he contributed vocals as well. He's got a very similar range to Brian.
Yeah,
So unless you really, really, really listen, it's hard to pick them apart. I mean, I can tell the difference.
I
Um,
wasn't able.
um,
I wasn't able, and that was my question. How my next question about how you share those vocals on the album,
mhm.
because sometimes I hear your voice because you have a little bit deeper growl, I think.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's easy to tell which guy is me. That's Carl. And that's how, when we're dividing up the songs, we always know, well, this is a Carl part because, that's the voice that I do. Um, and the others are a little more like, which guy feels like doing it, because it's balanced. It goes back and forth a little bit. Um, but it's a lot of fun. The whole process of figuring out who's going to sing which part. It's a fun part of the record making process, and also in the rehearsal room because sometimes parts move around between as we're working out which person's going to sing which thing. Things will get moved, and that's part of the fun process, I think.
Absolutely. And live, are you doing the same dynamic as on the record, or is there some parts that are not sang by the same person that it was on the record? I'm talking about the
Mostly
new record and
the new record, well, the stuff that Brian and Zach did on the record will be the parts that Zach and Dan do live. Um,
then
so really,
we'll have Brian's part.
right. Um, and
Logical.
I'll just, my part's easy because I just do my part. And that's easy. I can do my parts.
I guess. I'm not worrying about that.
No, we can sleep at night knowing Carl can sing his parts. It's okay.
It's been 30 years, so
Yeah, if I don't have it by now, I never will. So I'm joking, of course. Um, I really enjoy singing in Nile. It's a lot of fun. But I also like sharing with the guys too, because that makes it like a team thing. And it's a fun thing that we do together. And to me, I like that part. I really like that part when different people are getting in the mix, and it just seems like a team spirit kind of thing.
I have to agree on that. And I think in a live situation is way better to add dynamics, and it's easier for every single performer to do his best when the light is shining on him. When you got a spotlight, you're rested.
Yes, you can catch your breath and be ready to do your part, but when one guy has to do it all, man, that's in a death metal context. That's a lot of work. It's a lot of
Yes,
work.
especially you're not just staying on chords. You're like playing all the fucking way on the fretboard. So it's kind of,
Hmm.
I don't imagine how it is difficult to pull that off, especially during the summer, during festival when
Hmm.
there's a lot of heat. Must be a big challenge.
It is. I think the toughest challenge, though, metal is often played in venues that are not perfect, beautiful venues. It's often played in shitty little
Small.
venues that where there's no oxygen, there's no air to breathe. And when you stick 400 people in a place that should only have, you know, 100 people, it gets really hot really fast and there's no air to breathe. So you really feel the conditioning, playing metal and doing vocals in those kind of places. Kind of like when MMA fighters fight in Mexico City because it's 5 miles up
Yes.
and there's not as much air. And it really is tough. That's why they do the, high altitude training.
Yeah.
Um, it's a thing. It's real.
It's less oxygen. So
Yep.
it's way more difficult to perform. But when you're in a place that it's the normal uh like amount of oxygen, you're like, yeah, I'm breathing and
Yeah,
I
yeah.
can
Then it's
perform
on.
now.
If you can breathe, you can fight. If you can breathe, you can play death metal. But if you can't breathe, you're not gonna last too long.
Yeah, definitely. What will you say are your favorite track on this new album? Maybe tell about three of
Uh,
your favorite. It's hard to
I
say
like
right now.
all of them. Yeah, I like all of them. Stille Vultures. Wow, what a song. Chapter. Another great song. They're all
Unrelentless.
fucking good songs. Like Nakata 2, Enter the Golden Age. How do you not love that song? Or Overlords of the Black Earth. Or True Gods of the Desert. Or The Underworld Awaits Us All. All those songs are good. They're all good. I love them all.
Totally, I agree. There's no like B-sides or a filler. There's nothing. It's just, and I wasn't worried that much, but when I saw the time length on the album, I was like, okay, can they keep me entertained for that amount of time? You did it in the past. So I wasn't worried, but I was like, okay, man, this record is I think it's at the top of your game. Totally. You can almost compare that to the classics.
Hmm.
Those who gone detest and in their darkest shrine and
Well, give this one a little time. We've had 20 years to listen to Annihilation of the Wicked, right?
yeah,
We've had
that
20
one too.
years to listen to that record. So we know those songs and we love them and we're familiar with them. This one's brand new. Give it a chance. Those are great songs. And I believe that when you said you're at the top of your game, we can feel we're at the top of our game. We know it. We know it in our bones. So as when I hear people like saying dumb things like, "Oh, can Nile still play death metal?" Fuck yeah, motherfucker. We know we can. When the proof is on the record, come see us live. There's metal going
I think
on.
it's a statement album.
Mm-hmm.
Like back in the days when Judas Priest released Painkiller, it was like a
Mm-hmm.
statement, a print. Hey, we can
Mm-hmm.
rock.
Right, and that's still a great album. I was listening to
Oh my
Judas
God.
Priest last night while I was doing the dishes. Right, and Painkiller was on. I was going, these
You did
motherfuckers are on the top for a good reason because this is great metal. It stood the test of time.
totally still banging that album like
Hmm.
every month at least one time. And all the songs are killer. Even
Hmm.
Living Bad Dreams, the the bonus track.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah. Yes. Excellent. And uh how do you like their new album? Judas Priest. Have you
I heard a
listened to
little bit of
Invincible
it,
Shield?
and holy shit, dude, they are the kings because they are the kings.
Yeah, it's fast. I never thought it will be as fast as that. And I think you can see that Glenn Tipton is still involved in the
Hmm.
songwriting process because I think that Richie sounds in his soloing on some of them. It's like, is it Glenn? You know it's not him, but it feels like it's Glenn.
Yeah, I think he was a good choice for that band.
Perfect.
Yeah. Mm.
Totally. And live, he has the attitude, he has everything, the skills, the chops. Yeah.
If you get the chance to play in Judas Priest and you got Rob Halford, right? Yeah, I love the drummer Scott Travis.
Oh, me too.
Oh, like if you're playing with that guy, how do you not feel inspired to bring your best? Yeah, so I bet those guys are having a lot of fun playing.
Oh, I bet too. It's a fun band. There's so many fun songs too to play live, and
Yeah, I
yeah,
know, right? Right? How tough must it be for Judas Priest to pick their set list? That's every fucking song going back 30, 35, 40 years and more. I don't know. They probably have been around for 50 years.
50 years. Yeah, first album 74.
So that's a lot of motherfucking metal.
I agree. And every single album has something special. Some are less interesting, but most of them are really nice. And which band can say they did a great record in 5 different decades? Six now, 6 different decades with the new one, because they have
Wow.
Firepower, which was great. And this one is even better, I think, than Firepower to my taste.
So there you go, dude. They are the kings.
Talking about other bands, what are you listening these days? And not necessarily just metal, just in general.
Well, I like the in general kind of answer because I don't necessarily like talking about other bands because it always gets sideways and out of context. But I've been listening to Larry Carlton lately. It's a jazz guitar player. It's really tasteful guitaring. Jeff Beck.
Oh
I
yeah,
like listening to Jeff Beck.
rest in peace.
Um, yeah, great stuff. Um, Robin Trower, Uli Roth, the old Scorpion stuff. Yeah, really like that a lot. Um, yeah.
So you stick a lot to older stuff, like that brings nostalgia to you?
I don't know so much as nostalgia. I like listening to music made before the age of computers, right? Back when people really had to bring it, right? Because you were recording to tape and there's no digital anything, right? Music made back then. One of my favorite bands ever is a band called Mother's Finest.
I don't know that band, man.
Oh, dude.
Mother's Finest. I'm
Mother's
taking notes.
Finest. The album that you want to hear is called Another Mother Further. Dude, this
Will do that.
record, they got a style, it's like hard rock funk kind of thing. But dude, these guys are on fire. When I saw them, it was like back in 1976. They blew the roof off the auditorium. They were so on fucking fire. Yeah,
Mother's
Mother's
Finest.
Finest. Mother's Finest.
I will be listening to that right after this interview, for
All right.
sure. The
And
album you talked about.
so yeah, I don't so much like listening to modern music because it's a little too perfect and it's all,
Mm,
so many people fix everything and it sucks the soul right out of it. So
totally.
I like listening to music made, you know, before the age of computers because you can really feel, the humanity, feel the soul, feel the spirit of it. That's what moves me.
Even the mistakes, I think, adds to the
Hmm.
music. Like when
Yep.
you listen to whole albums of Deep Purple, for example,
Lots
uh,
of mistakes all over those records.
it's it's not perfect, but it gives the heart of it. It's like
Hmm.
yeah, and
Yeah.
a lot of those solos were improvised by Blackmore. So
Hmm.
yeah, it adds a lot of souls. And you're right. I think sometimes it's too polished these days. And I love that some bands are taking a step back in production and going back to analog. And some bands are doing that, and I think it's a blessing.
Right. I mean, we're living in a technology age, but technology is kind of disposable. I mean, how many, uh, I don't know how to say this, but how many of these modern bands are going to be here in 10 years or 20 years or 30 years? You know, if you give me the choice of whether to listen to Immolation or the next Facebook band, I'm probably going to pick Immolation because that's the real fucking thing by guys who know what the fuck they're doing and are bringing it. So, I mean, that's not saying anything against, whoever is doing something new. I'm not saying anything about that. I'm saying, though, and you hear a band like Immolation, right? Or Crisian, this is real. I mean, it's real. It's the real fucking thing played by guys who know what the fuck they're doing and have something special that they're bringing to the audience. That's the shit I like hearing.
Okay, so that brings me another question. What will be your favorite dream bill for a tour with Nile, with active bands? Like you can pick any band and they will say, yes, we are on board. Like four band to make it five with
Give
Nile.
me Crisian. Give me immolation. Give me vitriol. Give me hate eternal.
Hate Eternal. Yeah, it's funny because I was just talking 2 days ago about a concert I've seen with Crisian and Hate Eternal back in 2003, I think. It was in a
Mm-hmm.
small place, a sweaty place, obviously,
Mm-hmm.
and they kicked our butt so hard. Yeah,
Yeah, man. Yeah.
that
These
was so
are
nice.
these are the guys, man. These are legendary gods of death metal for good reason because that's what they're bringing. They're bringing the real fucking thing.
Totally. Back to Nile, and there's a lot of touring coming for this new album, and I'm glad it's the case. And you're touring Japan, Australia, even Singapore, but the US, Europe, but there's no Canada and South America. What's happening?
Well, we're already booked up, like, all the way into 2025. Obviously, there's a whole lot of places that we will go on this tour. Haven't necessarily booked them yet, but we will. You can't not go to South America. If you're a metal band, you will play South America. It's like almost written as a metal law. You have to play South America. So we will go. Do not worry. Canada, we haven't been for quite a few years.
I know.
So interestingly enough, our new booking agent is based in Canada. So on this new record, I'm pretty sure we're coming to Canada at some point. We've been talking with Cryptopsy about possibly doing a tour together, which will, of course, have to go to Canada. It
Yeah.
has to. We haven't been there in a long time, so it's time to go. So I'm pretty sure, yeah, we're going to come to Canada.
I hope so, because I need to see Nile with this new lineup and obviously to see you live. And I was supposed to see you live last year at 70,000 tons of metal,
Yeah.
but something happened.
Yeah, half the band had COVID.
Yeah,
So they couldn't go. So I'm sorry. I'm
no,
sorry. COVID is actually real. It is like
you,
COVID deniers can shut the fuck up. It's real. It does exist. We can verify this.
yeah, totally. I don't owe anything on you, obviously. And is that possible that you will be booked again for the next edition of Nile? Is that a possibility? I know you can't announce anything if they didn't yet, but is it is there a discussion to go back?
Yeah, we already had this discussion with Andy. Uh, Next opportunity that we have to go on 70K, we're there. Of course, we love playing 70K. Who doesn't love
Yeah,
playing 70K? So, yeah, we'll be there. We're not going to be there this January because we got this tour with 6 Foot Under,
yeah.
but maybe we'll get there next year.
Okay, I'm hopeful then.
Me too.
Yeah, I saw the dates and I was like, it will not happen in 2025. But
Yeah. Yeah, we were
yeah,
sorry. But that was one of the things we said when they gave us these tour dates and said, "What do you think?" And first thing we said was, "How are we going to play 70K if we're in Idaho?" Right? If I got a choice between Idaho or, being at 70K,
the boat.
hmm, hmm,
See, it's an easy choice.
it's an easy choice. Not that I don't love going to Idaho. I do, but it's not the same thing.
I'm pretty sure even the people from Idaho just understand that.
We will get to Idaho soon enough. I promise you.
Nice. Um, so, um, are you playing a lot of new songs uh, on the next tour,
Playing
or just the
three.
two singles? Oh, three. Okay.
Three. We'll be playing three. Probably by the time we do the US, we'll add a couple more in. We got plans to play 5 tracks from the new album throughout the cycle. We already picked our favorites and we know which ones they're going to be.
Oh yeah, you already know.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
already know. Yeah, because I had to make the rehearsal files for everybody.
but you told me your favorite track, so I have a good idea.
Well, it's not just me. I'm not the only one who gets a say.
Yeah,
Yeah, everybody wants to pick their favorite, so we try to compromise and work it out.
but anyway, every single track is a banger to me, so I will not be disappointed in any way.
Me either,
Or
right? You could pick
yeah,
any of these songs. I'm like, yeah, sure, let's go play.
let's do it. And how long will be the set? Approximately an hour
We
or?
have 75 minutes planned
Oh,
because there's
that's
a lot
great.
of other Nile songs that we got to play or people will be pretty angry. Um, we like playing those songs too. So, yeah. So, uh, I'd really like to do another tour where we play for 2 hours. Like we did that
Oh yeah.
back in 2014 or so. We played for 2 hours. And there were still songs that we wanted to play that we couldn't fit in a
I'm
2 hour
sure.
set.
There's so many longer songs that are interesting in that catalog. I was about to ask, is there a possibility to bring back Una Slayer of the Gods in the set list? Damn, I think it's my favorite Nile song just because it's uh you're getting on an adventure for more than
Hmm.
11 minutes, so
It is. It's an epic journey. Yeah.
epic journey.
Um,
Yeah.
it's a lot of fun to play live. We've played it so many times we can do it in our sleep. So it really just depends on if we have time in the set for a 15-minute song. Like obviously, we only have a lot of places only we get an hour, right? So
Yeah.
if you have an hour set and you put Unis in there, that means there's only 45 minutes of other stuff. So then, like, how do you have time to play the new songs? You were out there trying to promote the new record, so it's a challenge. Um, yeah. So it all depends on how much time we get on any given night, whether we get to play Unis or not.
So I'm crossing my fingers for the next tour to be announced, Canada being part of that tour, obviously, and a 2 hour set, and Unis will be there, and the longest song of Annihilation of the Wicked also, and I can send
There
you a
you
set
go.
list.
Nice.
Um, what maybe as a last question, because time is running out soon, and I'd like to know, you said a little bit about it, but what are the musicians, not necessarily on guitar, but that you are looking up the most? Uh Old ones, current ones?
Man, there are so many new guys playing guitar that are so ridiculously amazing.
Hmm.
Yeah, it's just incredible the age that we live in. Uh, but who do I look up to?
Yeah.
Uh, George Benson,
Oh, George Benson. It's
Larry
great.
Carlton, Jeff Beck, Uli Roth, Rusty Cooley.
Oh, Rusty, yeah.
You know Rusty? What an
Outworld.
amazing player.
Outworld.
Yeah. Holy
Genuine guy.
smokes. Yep, he's the real thing.
Can
Um,
play anything.
dude, I get lessons from him once in a while, and it's
Oh
like
yeah.
a mind fuck how good he is.
I
Yeah,
guess when you're one on one and sharing ideas and tricks and licks, and you're like, whoa.
yeah, he's a super nice guy too. But as a player, he's a monster. Uh, total monster. Yeah.
Great. Um, would you like to say a word in French? The only word you know.
I know lots of French words. I had a French wife for a bunch of years.
Oh yeah.
Second wife was French. Yeah. Um, but for my cryptopsy buddies, yeah, tabernacle, motherfuckers.
Yeah, that's the one. And as a conclusion, do you want to say anything to Niles fans or which are getting the new album quite soon on August the 23rd? So
The underworld awaits us all. We will see you there.
that's a nice conclusion.
I've been practicing it. I've said it about 500 times now. So
So it's there.
it's here. Yeah, I got it.
Thank you so much, Carl, for this genuine interview. So much fun. We have talked about a lot of subject that I didn't know we will talk about, and have a great time touring this fantastic new album.
Thank you, sir. Really appreciate you.
See you later in Canada. Bye.
A biento.
Yeah.